On this week's episode of the Superhero Show, we'll find out if Loki can find his glorious purpose that makes it all worth it, if the Doom Patrol can irreverently land the plane without ending plane, and if Spider-Man can get the anti-venom he needs to get Brock and the symbiote out of his life. All of that and more in an all-new episode of the Superhero Show. Hello, nerds, and welcome to the Superhero Show, the only podcast that covers every live-action TV show based on a comic book and any of the animated ones we decide are worth watching. I am your host for the evening, Mike Gravano. I'm very happy to be here. I don't know what happened to our normal host. I assume she is dead. She no longer texts when she can't be here, and I don't give a shit. It's my show now, baby. With me, as always, is my goon companion, Ryan.
Goon companion. Mike, when you say goon, does that mean that I am constantly jerking you off, but only making sure that you are edging and never actually coming to completion?
Wait, is that like... I didn't know that's what goon meant?
That's what goon means.
Since when?
6-7 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. I am not up on my Urban Dictionary definitions.
Okay, yeah. Urban Dictionary has a newsletter that they send out every 6 minutes on the 6 minutes.
I get so many newsletters. One's got to go. And you know what? It's Urban Dictionary. I'll change that. I'm going to delete my news, not noise.
What I like to do is have Urban Dictionary almost about to send me an email and then not send me the email. So I'm gooning Urban Dictionary.
You're gooning Urban. So when Joker's like, get me my goons, that's what he just needs like 6 guys to do that to him at all times?
Yeah.
Then yes, that's what I mean when I say you're my goon companion.
Okay. That's what Goonie. Why do you think they were named the Goonies? They were all
ew. You know what? 13-year-old boys are so disgusing. They're just learning about their bodies and each other's bodies.
This is the first time you're like, you know what? 13-year-old boys might be a little gross.
I know this might come as shock because it's not like you, but I don't think about 13-year-olds.
All right, when you're around me, bro, nothing will come as a shock because I will always be gooning you.
That's
so
true. You're in full control.
No shock will be coming at all.
You're a master with your hands. Also with us and hating that she responded to the Mac signal is McKenna, a.k.a. Books.
Yeah, I regret even waking up this morning. There are just levels. If you don't hear from me for a few weeks, this moment right here, absolutely why.
Wait, after the podcast, though, right?
Yeah,
we don't hear from you after you've recorded.
Yeah,
the show.
I fully commit to things. Like you know, I'm already here.
You're not some sort of goon.
Exactly, I'm the opposite. But after this, Mac signal may not get my attention.
Is that why Cassie and Caitlin aren't here? Could we trace back to a few weeks ago that we said a similar conversation and they're like, I'm out?
Yeah. You have a track record with this and you've
it's
not
something
learned from
worth.
history.
Why would we? It's 2023. We can say what we want.
If you go to Instagram right now, I don't know who's in charge of our social media, but if you go to Instagram right now and you look at the Superhero Show Reels, every single one for like the last 23 weeks in a row is Cassie saying, nope, cutting this off. And it has to do with gooning.
Is that not what a reel is for? Isn't it like the behind the scenes, the fun sauce in between segments?
And it's just because Mike and Ryan keep it real. That's why they call it reels.
And by fun sauce, I do mean the cum. I don't know if I needed to clarify that.
I was going to roast you all for still referencing Urban Dictionary, and you just have done enough for yourselves.
Is that old?
Yeah.
How do the kids know what slang means now?
Urban Dictionary right now, here it is. Well-known slang term and sexual subculture of chronic and compulsive masturbators, used both as a verb and a noun. Means achieving the trance-like blissful state reached when riding the edge of coming for as long as possible, perhaps many minutes or even hours at a time.
Did you just enter that into Urban Dictionary?
Here's the example used in a sentence. There I was, stroking for hours, and I was into the goon so deep that a bomb could have gone off next door, and I would not have noticed. Whenever we masturbate together, I like to watch him goon on his penis. He really gets into it.
To bring this back to comic books, which is sort of what we're based on. Is that what the comic book The Goon is? Is it just a giant guy who's gooning all the time?
No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not.
Good. Nobody's ever read it. Nobody ever will. It's the Grendel of the Goons generation. We are not here to talk about any of that, but probably more masturbating. Tonight, what we are talking about is Fear the Walking Dead. Invincible Season 2 is back. Gen V is ending, but our main segment, doubleheader, is 2 other season finales, but Gen V did not get brought up to the main stage. It is still playing back up. It is the end of Loki Season 2 and the end of Doom Patrol. We're going to take the quickest of breaks, and when we come back, dive into Loki. Loki Season 2 ends with him finally achieving a glorious purpose, if not the one he wanted. As a true god who has saved all the timelines, now destined to sit outside of everything alone and holding it all together. But first we get zany Groundhog's Day type shenanigans, while trying to figure out the pre-operative timing to make the doodad work to fix the loom thing, and then to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains when the doodad doesn't work. Taste Buds ask you this. We've watched countless Groundhog's Day episodes in our run here at Superhero Show. How does Loki stack up?
Okay, so this is different than what we're going to talk about later, because I think that there's 2 types of series finales, right? There's complete the story or complete the show. And I think Doom Patrol is complete the show. Send all the characters on their way. This is complete the story, although we do get the last 10 minutes of let's send the characters on their way. This was a Groundhog's Day that was a little bit different in that we get the reason why first.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Groundhog's Day usually likes to keep the reason why hidden. And then, so we get to see, oh, fuck, I have to keep doing this over and over again. And then he does it. And I think that was fine. I think that made it interesting. He kept saying the lines before each character said it, which is always hilarious.
Classic.
He kept saying, don't drop that part of the equipment because that will roll off the ramp, right?
Correct.
You keep reminding timely. That was all good.
A timely reminder.
A timely reminder. But ultimately, it was all about still Loki realizing what is important and what is not, what is fate and what is not, and who is Loki and who is Sylvie and who they are not. That's really what it all boils down to, yes?
Yes. McKenna?
I mean, I agree with everything Ryan said. As far as other Groundhog Days go, and maybe because this season was short, it felt anticlimactic by the end. It just felt... I mean, we knew it was setting us up for not a success in the way he wanted it to, because as soon as he states, all I want are all my friends together, that's not what's going to get. But I didn't feel that earned the series end.
Yeah, I thought the end was impactful, but that's Magic Eye squinting. Remembering all of Tom Hiddleston through all of MCU, not necessarily this season, these 6 episodes landed that.
Well, I think it was important to have him walk out onto that ramp at the very end. Spoilers, I don't know if we need to say that. Having the big horns.
Yeah.
And aging.
But
to
this
remember,
is still...
Guys, do you remember that this is Loki from the Avengers movie?
The first one, though. This isn't Loki from all the other Avengers movies.
Right. And what I liked about it is a few episodes ago, he's like, Sylvie, we are gods. And he's halfway there, but still doesn't get it. Mm-hmm. And I do like at the end, he gets it. He's like, oh no, God doesn't mean I get to do whatever I want and what I think is right. There is a burden. And I did the parts of this episode that talked about burden, I think worked. We've seen too many great Groundhog's Days to get it twice. Felt like doing the emotional parts of the finale disservice. We did all of the doodad Groundhog's Day in the beginning, and then he does it again with Sylvie and He Who Remains. And I went, come on. For how much of this season and episode I wanted Loki and Sylvie to hash their shit out more, and I think that's been a complaint of us as a group. It felt like a cheat instead of them really dealing with each other.
Especially because every time he's hashing it out with Sylvie, it's Sylvie of the past. Mm-hmm. It's Sylvie from a place of lack of knowledge. So it doesn't satisfy any of who they are at the end of the series.
Yeah, I thought that the one conversation of Sylvie saying, "Oh, so you have to kill me? Well, I'm not going to root you on. I'm not going to like cheer for that."
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that conversation was good.
Yeah.
But I still thought that like the pinnacle of this season was Owen Wilson and what's his name? The guy with the other fucked up nose that wasn't Owen Wilson.
The actor?
agent.
Yeah, X-15 or something.
Brad or
Brad or Chad or Doodad at the McDonald's talking about like just talking to each other, watching Sylvie and Loki in the McDonald's at that table. Like that was the most bonding and character moment that we had over the entire series. You know, like that was still better than anything that we had because there was less pressure. That they didn't have all of the spotlights on them. They didn't have all of the exposition on them.
Yeah.
They just got to breathe. There was no breathing. That like all of the stuff that like we used to get from these Marvel shows just wasn't there. There was so much like, well, we have to put the wingy in the wangy.
When the winging was trying to get in the wanging, hints at so Groundhog's Day, you show the different things, you show the changes, him hinting at stuff that's happened before. Did that work ever? Or is it we've seen too many, or is it the show at this point was lazily like, you've seen Groundhog's Day, right? And not putting the actual work in.
At this point, I think that Groundhog's Day is just it's running to the airport at the end of a rom-com. Like it's a trope. Like Groundhog's Day has done this incredible thing where it is now a thing where you don't have to feel like you're copying anything. So it doesn't bother me anymore.
No. It's not the not copying, but we've seen people do it smashingly. Legends of Tomorrow, even Arrow, I'm sure Flash did it 5 times. This version of it, it really felt like, it's not like the alarm clock happens and this happens. It felt like he says the same thing. Like it didn't build up the energy, or it wasn't funny at all.
it felt too
Like Groundhog's
long.
Day should be. Yes.
It was too long, especially because he like goes back and learns all of physics and all. Like it dragged on too much, but nothing was changing. We were still ending up at the same spot
Without adding anything.
exactly.
But here's what I liked about it though. He says to OB and
Casey?
the other guy. He says, "How long?" No, literally. I'm literally asking, "How long would it take me to learn your knowledge?" Mm-hmm. And they're like decades, even centuries, and then it says centuries later.
Yeah.
And then we come back, and then Loki has learned it, and instead of being a god and using his powers to just cheat through life, he's used his powers to learn all of their knowledge. And I think that's sort of showing the selflessness instead of the selfishness. I'm gonna be a god and learn all this stuff instead of just being a god and like use magic to cheat. And I think that part is actually interesting.
That part that the centuries later worked both as a character moment and comedically, but it was like the build up before that, and then we still got more after that. And then to follow that same pattern with He Who Remains in Sylvie before we get to the moment of, and it was the good moment of it, of Loki being like, why do you think this is the first time we've had this conversation? And then you're like, oh, snaps. So each one of the Groundhogs repeats had a moment of like, okay, cool. But it felt like it really dragged through both of those to get to that moment.
I think we saw Timely like spaghetti out like a total of 12 times. I could have seen him like spaghetti out 3 times, maybe. Like especially in the initial
Or
repetitions.
quicker edits
I
of
thought I
it.
was watching the wrong episode, honestly, when I started this. I was like, is this episode 5? Is this episode 4? When I started it, I was like, have I seen this already?
You
And I
had.
had. It's just, I was watching the right episode.
Now, this is probably the end of Loki.
Probably.
Probably not seeing any of these characters on other stuff. How do we feel it ended everybody's journeys?
I don't, like, I'm just, and like, it's weird to end 2 very important shows of ours in the same week. And it's hard to not compare them. But I am glad to not watch this anymore. I'm glad to say goodbye to them in positive ways, but mostly negative ways. I just want to be done with this. I want to be done with this era of Marvel. I really hope that they pull out of it. I don't think that they will. That's what my bet is, right? Like, I'm going to say 55, 45% chance, but I don't think that they will. I saw the Marvels last night, so that's sort of helping my bet.
The pre-review of next week.
Yeah. Maybe we can cover that next week. But I don't know, man. I just think that, like, there's so little interest or passion or chance taking in any of this that, like, nobody knows what they're doing or cares. It's not that nobody cares. I think that they care. It's just that they don't care that they know what they're doing. Like, nobody's, like, concerned that, like, we're juggling on a unicycle right now. Is anybody concerned about that? No, it's fine. Like, everyone loves Marvel so much that, like, you're blindfolded with a bucket on your head and you're on a unicycle and you're juggling. So it's totally fine because everybody loves it so much. I don't think that's true anymore.
And I think it's a particular drag with this show because I think this is the best ensemble they've had in anything. And everybody is acting their guts out and not in an annoying way. Like, I think this cast crushes it, and it's still so much sound and fury.
I think it hurts more
no Nick
because
Fury.
season 1 just made us love these characters so much that I was not satisfied by the end, with the exception of Loki. I think his character, I was happy with that growth and that arc and that sense of, like, satisfaction he got out of his journey, but everyone else was just...
And, like, I love Eugene Cordero. He's a great comedic actor. He shows up in everything and rules. But I don't think Casey added anything to this show. Maybe spend more time with Brad, who I thought did add a lot to this show, or spend time with the characters and build them up even more, like Sylvie and Mobius and B numbers.
When we arrived at Alcatraz at the start, I forgot that Casey was even part of the group. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing here? Who is he? Like, he's so forgettable.
Season 1 used him as a great comedic piece throughout, and this, like, they're like, well, we'll give him more screen time, so now he's a character, but without giving him more screen time or character growth.
Yeah.
Well, Loki is done. Moments of the week. Mac, let's start with you.
Oh, mine's a moment that was so distracting. Okay, well, actually, I have two. I'll only say one.
You can say both.
Mine was the part of the Groundhog Day that I actually did think worked, and I think that's because of Mobius and who he is. It's just him softly repeating again, but it's never touched on. It's never addressed. It almost seems like he's going to come to the conclusion of, like, wait, Loki's doing this over and over again, but he never reaches it, and I was kind of satisfied by that. Like, it was just him as a character coming out. My other moment is the thing that pulled me out, and it's the fact that Loki gets his like crown, his little horns, and his, like, awesome cape, which turns into the time strings. But he's wearing these loafers that I just couldn't get past as he's, like, crunching through.
Those are very fashionable.
They're fashionable, but he's, like, trumping through time.
You think big old boots?
I think not even big old boots. I think something sleek but also sturdy. I could see his skin as he's just exposed to this radiation. It just weirded me out. I don't know why.
Because he's a fashionable god.
They were. I expected boots. I was so jarred by these loafers, these fancy loafers that I, like, you never see. They looked good. They did not look practical.
Well, he's going to be sitting forever, so have some nice slippies.
That's true.
Ryan, what about you?
I don't want to give any spoilers about next week's talk about the Marvels, but I have seen some characters put together some timelines and some Marvel shit this week, and my goodness, I don't ever want to see any of it ever again. My moment of the week is the reason why you hire Ki Hui Kwan is X-15 comes up behind him at the end and says, Miss Minutes is back. Is she gonna be cool? And he looks at her and shrugs in a way that only this actor can. And
he's perfected the shrug.
Yeah. Just like, I don't fucking know, bitch. Just get away from me. And it was perfect.
He is the scientist in the purest sense of, like, it could kill us all, but god damn it, won't it be fun to find out whatever this experiment does. Mine is, well, I think Tom Hiddleston can definitely carry a show, is the best part of the Groundhog's Day is when he's walking timely through it, and he doesn't have to say, like, oh, I have to talk you through this again. He just goes, be brave. You are being so brave. So deadpan, because he said this literally a million times, and that tickled me.
Can I just say, treat adults like toddlers.
Yeah.
Like, don't give them details. Just be brave, buddy.
Be brave.
You got this, buddy.
You're so brave.
Yeah.
We're all toddlers in the end. Loki is done. Long live Loki. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Doom Patrol ends. On the final episode of Doom Patrol, a motorist in the butt start a musical career and give the Doom Patrol toenails to give them longevity back. Rita doesn't get it in time and dies, so we get a funeral that's as insulting as it is hurtful. But before she goes to the afterlife, Rita breaks up the DC X-Men and they have to go their own ways. Taste buds, I ask you this. Which character's ending hit you the hardest?
Mac, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember names.
You can use descriptors. Mummy Man.
I think it's Cliff.
Stretchy Girl.
Right?
Big Robot. Yes,
His
that's
name's Cliff. Okay, Cliff's.
Well, Cliff had a baby around him, and Cliff's...
Did he finally touch the baby without his oven mitt?
Yeah.
Freak.
Thanks for weighing in, Mike. Cliff touched the baby named Rory.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through his entire past, his family's entire past. And then his lights dimmed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This was tough. And then the credits rolled. Spoilers, by the way.
So Cliff was the end.
was the
We're
final
talking about
one.
the finales. Also, this is our show where we break down every episode. If you were surprised by spoilers, listeners, stop fucking listening to us, idiots.
Okay. They're not listening now, Mike.
Good.
They have long since stopped listening. I've heard of a cliffhanger, but this was a cliff banger.
Oh!
No, I didn't have anything there. Don't say oh. When you say oh, it's like I had something in mind. I didn't have anything in mind to say.
Oh!
You just like to talk, so we should recognize this by
My
now.
my oh mostly means like let's move this along.
But no, it was devastating. He had said for like the last 3 episodes, I'm gonna die soon, and then he
Yeah. So the longevity toenails, is it because he was a robot and didn't have toenails?
Or I think just I'm gonna get you past the finish line of your story.
That's what the toenails meant.
Yeah.
Did that bother you, Ryan? Did they zoom in on these toenails?
No.
I don't think we
Okay,
ever saw them. Thank God.
Yeah. It was very like I'm gonna cover them with my hand and put them in my mouth, and you never see them.
Wait.
My biggest problem was that Rita died first, and I do think that this show, much like The Office was all about Pam, this show was all about Rita Farr, and she was the impetus for the final journey, I think. But my God, was this show? She was clearly the main character. I don't know. I thought that her character was the best by far, had the greatest arc, and it was so sad to see her go and not have her final last step with everybody. I think that Madame Rouge, if we can call her that, I don't know if she earned the name Madame or Rouge at any point, but I don't know. I just wish that she was there for the end, you know?
Yeah, how did the funeral hit?
I mean, it was good. Everybody said, everybody brought something important, and they all brought alcohol or mirrors. And then she was very instantly flammable, and it was because of all the alcohol, and then she turned into a giant blob because that's what she was. So that was, it was funny.
I do think it speaks volumes, though. Like, even though her character wasn't there until the end, she dying was the only way the rest of the characters could reach their own conclusion. So I think there's some merit in having her go first.
Yeah, for instance, Larry. Like, Larry was not going to race out of the house knowing, and this is Mummy Man, as Mike calls him. Larry was not going to race out of the house laughing, knowing that he had something to do if Rita had not died and inspired him to, like, go make that next step.
What is his end? What happens to Larry?
Larry went and found his boyfriend in time space, and they went into the stars together.
OG boyfriend?
No, new G boyfriend.
Oh, the guy from Heroes?
The guy from
Yes.
Heroes.
Hell
Dr.
yeah. That guy's handsome.
Yeah.
Good for Larry. That burnt face.
Yeah, he gets demummified too. So
And is he Matt Bomer?
no,
Oh, okay.
he's kind of Deadpool-ish.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that didn't hurt my Matt boner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I know what you mean.
Was that
Where you goon?
Was that unclear? Do you know what I mean?
I could use a little more clarity.
Yeah.
When I say Matt boner, when I look at him, I get a Matt boner. Do you know what I
it's
mean?
those eyes. I do. I do know what you mean. Blood goes into your penis.
Crazy Jane. Let's get to her. She does not want to go by Crazy Jane anymore. She is going by Kaleidoscope, or K, because she has said, as Mike, we talked about last week, her father raped her. And that is why she has so many personalities. They are all in control. And she's like, I'm going to sublet and paint, right?
Yeah.
That's her plan?
She wants a 500 square foot place to live and some canvases.
And I'm going to live a normal life. And just before she's about to leave. And I'm like, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. But then Casey's there. I forgot about Casey, honestly. But then Casey's there. And she's like, it seems like Kaleidoscope forgot about Casey.
Oh, Casey, the Buzz Lightyear girl?
Yes.
Gotcha.
From the comic books, Buzz Lightyear. And she's like, oh, fuck, Casey, I forgot about you. Remember you from 4 episodes ago? And then they're like, should we fucking hook up? And Ryan was like, yes, you should. And they do. And they do. It's perfect.
Good for them.
Now knowing that Buzz Lightyear girl's name was Casey, calling Kaleidoscope K just seems like cause for... Like, why not Callie?
Yeah.
Why are they...
Well, Casey's with a C. In my head.
Why not Casey and CK?
Why not? We're all cool with letters.
I mean, Casey and CK, that's basically 69.
Mm.
And who doesn't love that?
Who are we leaving out?
Running through
Cyborg.
Let's do Rouge because she's the newest, and then Cyborg.
All right, Rouge. Rouge has a fucking party this entire time because she gets the shit kicked out of her by like former or future versions of herself. They're like, you are trash. And she's like, I don't think I am. And they're like, no, you are. Are you... Basically, her and Cyborg keep working out. Are you evil or good, or is there gray? And that's like the big Doom Patrol mission of this episode is like, is there gray there? And because Cyborg started out because he's a basic ass DC superhero. Is there black and white, or is there gray? And so Cyborg thinks there's black and white and teaches Madame Rouge that there's gray, or Madame Rouge teaches Cyborg that there's gray, and then she learns that there's gray, and then absolutely blowtorches some building. I don't even know what it is. The Get Farm.
The Ant Farm is like the evil government-run folks that her and Sheaf used to work at.
Yeah,
is that the place that built the butts?
Yeah, home of the butts.
She shows up via elevator and just lights everything on fire.
It does the awesome thing. Does the thing of like you've got the blowtorch, and then you take the little lighter. You're like, what is this big lighter gonna do? And then fucking torches it.
All right, and then ending our Doom Patrol was Cyborg. Or did you kind of knock them out together?
No, he's like a teacher now.
Yeah, he goes to Detroit and teaches like a STEM class. Which
we kind of saw when he was in the pod episode or so ago, talking to the future.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and did we get a check-in with Dorothy?
No.
Oh. Rude.
There's a screen that just like with writing on it that said, we will not be checking in with Dorothy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. Rude.
That's going to piss off Danny the Street.
This is the opposite, I think, of Loki, even though Loki had Loki's last 10 minutes of like, we're not going to do more story here. We're just going to do conclusion, like reunion. Like we're just going to do denouement for an hour.
That's awesome. I feel like if you're going to end a show, that's kind of how to do it.
Well, it spoke volumes because I've watched maybe 3 episodes of Doom Patrol, and arguably the most chaotic episodes too. Like I was dropped in the middle of season 4, and that is it. But I felt more for these characters' endings by the end of this series, like this episode, than I did for Loki. Wow. Like I had more emotional attachment to this season finale. And I think watching it in that order too, I watched Doom Patrol first and then Loki, just heightened that disappointment for me from Loki's series finale. But yeah, as a viewer, I should not be more attached to characters I've known for 3 chaotic episodes.
Yeah. You've not gone through the years of... You should start from the beginning.
Now I'm going to.
And just come back. I think we're going to have a dead zone, and we'll just start from the beginning. This is one of the best shows we've covered. Let's do Moments of the Week, Ryan.
I have to say that my moment of the week was, of course, Rita Farr's second reaction to alcohol getting placed in her casket. Like, the first time she was like, that's offensive, but there's no way that could happen again. Oh my God, it's happening again. Like, she, to me, like, I am going to vote very hard in the Shushies for her for Best Actress.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why. Just her, like, you got to be shitting me right now.
That happened at my uncle's funeral. Somebody had slipped in a flask, his favorite flask, and then people kept putting, like, the tiny gas station bottles of Jack Daniels, and to the point that my grandma was upset. And then my dad said, Mom, it was like his favorite thing. So, you know what? Give them what they want.
Like, honestly, if I died, if I was laying in my casket right now, sort of like dead, but angel conscious, whatever, and then you two and Greg and Cass and Caitlin were outside of my casket putting in my favorite things, I would expect literally no liquor to be involved. And all 5 of you would put liquor in there.
Yeah.
It's
so many cans of Monster and handles of vodka. Mac, what is your moment of the week?
Mine is it's also the funeral. I think that was just it felt like we had so much more left of that episode, but I was also just satisfied in that moment. But there's a moment because she fought to have her body burned. And then there's a moment where she's just turning into this giant gassy thing, and they poke it with a stick, and it just explodes, and it emits this horrendous smell. And you could she's a brilliant actress, so you could see it on her face, that regret of, I hate everything that is happening right now. And she's in ghost form watching this, and people are like, oh, God, hiding their noses. Just that moment of her face being like, I fought for this. I'm so pissed.
When she pitches it, because she's Rita Farr, when she pitches it, she's like, I want my body to be... This is our final mission.
Yeah.
To burn my body. And she knows it's going to be, like, romantic and elegant and important.
It's the ultimate, like, warrior funeral, too, right? Like, I just...
And it will all go perfectly. Even though literally never anything ever has with the Doom Patrol, this will be the thing.
Well, Doom Patrol was on Max. You can go watch all of it now, and you should. Spoiler alert, we were fans. Now, before we move on, McKenna, you've been talking our ears off on the breaks nonstop about a website idea, and I don't know what it's about. You just kept saying the tagline is, put the fun back in funerals. And so what's this all about?
So the Put the Fun Back in Funerals is all about just encompassing and providing. Funerals are stressful, right? Like, it's a lot of planning and everything. And so Put the Fun Back in Funerals, it doesn't take away, like, your need to find, like, a plot or a casket or anything, but it provides you and any number of guests with a plethora of that dead person's favorite item. So you can bombard them with whatever you think they would want to be buried with or burned with, however their funeral is happening. And if you're not sure, we have a giant wheel that we will spin.
Ooh.
And it is all liquor items, but it's liquor of your choice. And we will spin it and provide you with just alcohol to bury your loved one with.
I don't care how fucking sad you are. If somebody starts spinning a wheel, you will start to smile.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wheel.
We do it at the funeral, too. We just show up with this like Wheel of Fortune giant wheel and spin it. And then everyone comes out with these giant buckets of the item. And so to guests.
So what is the actual URL? Where are we sending people to do this?
Oh, it's a www.putthefuninfuneral, because you already stole the name. So Put the Fun in Funeral.
I thought that was a tagline. I didn't realize that was the URL.
No, that's going to be the entire URL. We had a longer one, and it was spin wheels and don't be sad about death. Yeah, just keep on turning. But it just got too long, and people were having a hard time, typing it all out, and they were getting sent to just weird signs. So Put the Fun in Funeral, and it's actually .edu, because we really consider ourselves an educational service.
Nice
for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a new death positivity movement through the last few years moving throughout the country, so I'm glad you guys are part of it and got that .edu. I believe in this so much, and I don't want it to fail, that I think I need to send you to our friends over at Cybersprout. They're design experts. They are well-versed in digital strategy, which you need. Elegant design, which I think the wheel, to really capture the spirit of the wheel, you're going to need to show. And it can't look rinky-dink. And they're going to combine the two of those things masterfully. They're going to work hand-in-hand with you and focus on collaboration and goal-driven design to make sure your website reaches the right customers. You're going to want the speed optimized. You're going to want security and maintenance and backups. And they will even migrate your website for free. You should go to cybersprout.net to get started. They are your partner for the digital world.
And Mike, right now, if you go to McKenna's website, what was the URL real quick?
www.putthefunandfuneral.edu.
Cybersprout.net will have a slab on McKenna's funeral wheels where you will get 10% off if it lands on the Cybersprout day. Yeah.
That's fun. And the rest will all just be like Tito's.
Yeah.
Whatever Michael Jordan's tequila is.
Monster.
Well, you got to have, your mixers.
We're going to take the quickest break. And when we come back, every other show that came out this week. And now, my dear listeners, it is time for the pull list, where we quickly cover every other show that came out this week, starting with Gen V. In the season finale of Gen V, Kate and Sam unleash the rest of the Woods kids, and they all start killing non-soups on campus. Marie, Emma, Andre, and Jordan try to stop them, while Ashley and other Vought folks from the boys hide out. Things come to a head when Homelander lands, but instead of stopping Kate and Sam, he lasers Marie in the tummy and says how dare she use powers against her own kind. The news flips who caused the violence and blame the Core 4, who end up waking up in a cell together with no windows and no doors.
But there's always my way.
Taste buds, I ask you this. Does tying the two shows so closely together at the end worry you for the future of the quality of the boys? I guess, McKenna, you weren't a fan of the boys, so maybe it doesn't fucking bother you at all.
I was going to say, as someone who did not give a shit about the quality of the boys, no, I'm not concerned. You know what I will say, and honestly, it's never going to happen. I want Gen V to be a very different show. So the fact that they're connecting, it worries me in the sense that Gen V is never going to accomplish what it could accomplish, because they're going to try to recreate it as the boys, but fail to do that, and it's just going to hover in limbo.
Yeah, the entire season, it seemed tonally, they wanted to be a little more serious and less tongue-in-cheek than the boys, but still with like gore and violence, and then sometimes puppets. But then they couldn't land the plane. And then, every episode of the last few, they just kept adding more and more characters from the boys. So it did really just feel like the boys' junior novelization.
Yeah.
And, so by the time Homelander lands, I'm like, Anthony Starr, don't slum it on this show. I know it's technically in your universe, but you were better than this.
Contractual obligations.
There's a lot of, chaos and killing and fighting. What stood out to you? Good, bad, or I guess if it's neutral, it didn't stand out to you. But what do you actually want to talk about?
I will say there was a scene where Sam and Emma were fighting, and there's some dialogue that stood out poorly, but I do feel like they're in the theater room and they're having this dramatic blowout, and she's trying to say like, you're better than this, and I feel like that almost got to some of the strengths of the show. That's
I think there's a reason, and it's because it's Emma, who I think the actress and the character, and maybe the character because of the actress, is the most realized and fun to watch. Even though the more plot heavy the show got, the more back burner she kind of became.
Yeah, and I think it's because they don't really find a way to utilize her powers. They don't really find, like, her powers always seem accidental when they happen, and they're just never. So, but that scene where they're fighting, to me, was like, we actually got to some sort of emotional heart of the show.
Right.
And then it did cause Sam to have like hallucinations of his brother and have this like moment of hesitation. So that was the strongest standout moment for me.
And because of that, I felt, because I do think the kid who plays Sam is a pretty solid actor, and it felt like maybe he could turn and be on the side of the good until he talks to Kate and he's like, this hurts so much, and she's like, I can help, and he's like, oh, I feel empty. Mm-hmm. This is amazing. And you're like, oh no, this is not going to turn out positively in any way.
Yeah. So I also think the moment with Andre and his dad in the hospital did stand out a little bit as well.
Yeah. And I thought it was a good moment where his dad, he's dying, and like the first thing he says, he's like, we got to get my costume resized so it fits you. Like, he is such a fame whore that even in his dying wishes, he's just thinking about how his son can use this.
Well, how his son can use this, and also how he's like doing the symbolic thing of passing on the torch, and his son's like, listen, our powers are killing us, and he's like, you'll do whatever you can to like protect our family, just like capitalizing on this. Like, at first it seemed like this like grand thing of like, you got to take this on because I'm just not strong enough anymore, and then it became this, no, you're a duty, not a son. Like, you're
kill yourself as well, so our family can stay rich,
and sacrifice friends, anything, become this awful human being at the core. Know about kids being tested on, as long as your family is protected, it doesn't matter.
So yeah, there's moments, but man, just covered in so much drivel and boring derivative show.
The girls will never believe us, Mike, when we say this, but I really believe that the boys think about message first, and then how do we make this gross second? And Gen V is always gross first. And can we throw a message in the background second? And that's the difference.
Well, I also don't think it's that gross of a show. Maybe I'm desensitized and I'm a monster. But I think it's message first in the bad, like, what was the Freeform or ABC Family? Like, it really is like Hallmark level. We fucking get it, you after school special. And I'm the most positive voice about Gen V on this show. And that's what I'm saying. Do you have a moment of the week?
So this is back to that fight, and I end up always highlighting moments of the week that are like negative and not like positive.
Totally
which I know
cool.
is not the goal, but it's
that's
what
the
stands
McKenna
out.
way.
It's my way, and it's because I usually, even if a show's bad, I get sucked into it. But it was my favorite scene when Emma and Sam are fighting, and Emma's having this like rant, and it's all about like their connection, and all of a sudden there's just a bit of dialogue, and she goes, we shared our feelings, we shared our privates, and then she just rambles through and powers through. Kudos to that actress for getting through that and continuing on, because I believed her genuinely, but I also, like, in the back of my head I was like, I don't know anyone who could say that seriously, because most people who are mature enough to be having sex are just like, we had sex, or something of that sort. We shared our privates was just so jarring.
I also think you're giving people who have sex too much credit for, say, if they're mature enough to have sex, they're mature enough to talk about. I don't know if that's true, but
I still giggle.
I
mean, like, honestly, like, none of us like the show. Mike, as the biggest fan, is like 2 stars, but we have Best Supporting Actress Shushies coming up. Emma nominated.
I think so.
Yeah. Totally.
And I wonder if it's how bad everything else is. Like, it really.
No. Don't. She's legit good.
If a show is that bad, usually it drags down even the best of actors with them.
But no, she rises up.
Every time
whoever is acting off her, whoever's acting off her, you're like, oh, wait, this could be the show. And then, no, it couldn't.
If Sam is in a different scene or with different actors, he acts like Mike. Like, she is great.
I want to be a hero. My moment of the week is another moment that hit that was not Emma focused. Marie did call out how dumb all of our CW shows are. Is she's talking to Kate, and then she's like, "Can't you like?" Oh no, she's talking to Sam, who's like brainwashed from Kate, and she's like, "Can't you like find the real you or dig deep or whatever?" So many Flash and Supergirl episodes, that is how the finale ends. It's like, no, I can dig deep and be a better me.
You're right. That's all it took this whole time.
Nope. She just keeps getting the shit kicked out of her after she says that. Gen V will be gone. Is gone, but you can watch it on Amazon, and the boys will come back, and hopefully the boys is the boys that some of us love.
Gen V is picked up for season 2. So
good. Which is also the boys season 4.5. It's all just super connected.
Yep.
The next show of the week is good, a quality one. Fear the Walking Dead.
And Mike, let the audience know that McKenna has stepped in for Caitlin. And this is her first intro paragraph that she has written. So let's all put our attention to what McKenna is about to say.
I'm going to say fuck you. In this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Dwight returns home and is reunited with June, Sherry, and Dove. Dove is shot and wounded, and while seeking treatment at the sanctuary tower collapses because of a raid by bandits, killing all but the 4. They decide to return to Padre, with Dove agreeing to join Dwight's family and go by her birth name, Odessa. Taste buds, I ask you this. If we enter the zombie apocalypse and go through a lot of trauma, what new name are you going by?
Before that, Mike notes, she said tweetment instead of treatment.
I assumed people were tweeting.
Yeah.
Trying to
I'm gonna be
channel my
honest,
inner Caitlin.
I know you said to listen. I tuned out instantly. It's not, Mac, it's not your fault. It's Fear the Walking Dead's fault. It's the Walking Dead franchise fault. I can't. Odessa, my new net, to honor my father, I will now be Hencart Brooklyn Jr.
That's your nickname.
That's my nickname in the apocalypse.
Now, Mac, are we going by like superhero nicknames or like CB radio nicknames?
Ooh, CB radio.
Okay. Laser tag? Is that a good one?
There
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
great.
Yeah.
In the future, nobody knows what that means. So
It just does
sounds
not exist.
awesome.
I don't know if that's really me. So I'm going to say red pubes.
It's a little too on the nose.
Red Pubes 1, Red Pubes 1. This is Hencart Brooklyn.
Wait, how the
Jr.,
fuck did
aka
McKenna know
HBJ.
that I have red pubes coming out of my nose?
Well, buddy,
Does everybody
we
know?
can all see them.
It's just
We use our peepers.
we're going to have an intervention.
It's time.
Wait, you're going to send me to rehab because of something I can't control?
You can control. It's 2023. There's devices.
You're going to leave me to my own devices?
No, we're going to hire your barber to do it.
All right.
Fear the Walking Dead is on Sundays on AMC. Our last show in the pull list is Invincible.
On the season 2 premiere of Invincible, we get to see what it would be like if Mark had have worked with his dad before we settle down in good old 1985. Mark's mom is struggling and drinking, and Mark, as always, is trying to be a son, a boyfriend, and a student. Meanwhile, the Maulers team up with Angstrom Levy to save not just this world, but all the worlds. And things kind of blow up. Taste buds, I ask you this. Is the comic book-based media world ready for a cocky, black, male, universe-traipsing villain?
Oh, no. Maybe this one won't end up being a piece of shit behind the scenes. And you know he won't, because it's Sterling K. Brown, and that guy's a saint.
I read before I watched this, that if maybe Jonathan Majors proves to be a piece of shit, that the MCU should recast him with Sterling K. Brown. And then I watched this episode, and I was like, that's fucking weird.
Is this his test run?
Did they watch this episode before me? I thought of a new nickname for this character, though.
What?
And this is unfair because this issue of this comic book was written long before this episode came out.
Facts.
Kangstrom Levy. What do you think, Mike?
Not bad.
Not bad?
Not bad. Suck it, Robert Kirkman.
What do you think? What are we thinking here? Did you miss a beat, or were you like, what happened in Invincible Season 1?
No. I think I generally remembered, especially all you need to remember is Omni-Man bad, beat the living fuck out of Mark.
Well, how long were you confused in the first 20 minutes of, like, how long until Karma Police came in?
I was wondering, I was like, oh, is this like what Omni-Man is imagining as he pulverizes Marf's face into the mountain? That's what I thought for a while.
That's what I was thinking. Is Omni-Man jerking off right now? Are we watching?
Is he gooning?
Omni-Man gooning?
And then, it switched, and like, we're comic nerds, so I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. I like this show a lot. I'm glad to have it back. But god damn it, guys. I know we all love Radiohead, but sadly flying around, doing your job very efficiently, more than you ever have when you have access to your emotions. To Karma Police montage. Can we not? Can we fucking not?
There's a big thing. I think there's a thing of like, you've seen Radiohead in a montage. It hasn't really worked for anybody else.
But it could work.
But it might work for us. And I have to give them credit because they didn't do a child's choir
yes.
doing Radiohead. So that's cool. But you can't, even though it's so tired for everybody else, you can't drop the opportunity if you think it's going to work for you. You just can't. Like, if you get the opportunity to use a song, you just have to use it.
I don't use a different one. Do like Wolf at the Gate. Surprise us. It'll be a very different vibe. But if you must go Radiohead, surprise us.
So Angstrom Levy at the end. Well, let me go back a little bit. The Maulers and Angstrom Levy are going to go to every universe, multiverse.
Multiverse?
How are we not done with this word yet? I don't want to hear this word ever again in my life. Going to go to every multiverse. Here they fixed cancer. Here they fixed drought. Here they fixed every single problem. They're going to go to every multiverse, and they're going to fix every problem, and then go to back to every multiverse and fix every problem. That's the plan. But in the middle of fixing every plan, Invincible comes and says, "Hey, that machine's too big, and the Maulers are here, so I think that's bad," and stops it.
This machine's too big. Where's your permit?
And Angstrom Levy says, "No, you can't kill Invincible while he's stopping this."
Well, there's dozens of Maulers, and they are beating the living fuck out of Invincible.
Because while the Maulers are smart, they're stupid.
They're pretty violent.
They're like all of the Bruce Banners in one.
Are they stupid, though? They didn't know that would make Angstrom take his helmet off.
Yeah, it is weird. When you get that many Maulers at the same time, it's just like people at a mall. If you get that many Maulers,
somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah. And so now he says, "I have one person to blame. But it's not the Maulers that I brought here to kill Invincible. I only blame Invincible."
Well, it's so Angstrom takes the helmet off to stop the Maulers from killing Invincible. That blows up the machine. Most of the Angstrom Levy from the different multiverses that are in the machine all die, but the knowledge goes wrong in his head, and it's this giant like rat tail of a brain that's now, and he cannot remember which version of him is him. And the pacifist him that was our world's Angstrom Levy was like Invincible's a hero, but it is blended with so many versions of Invincible that is a genocidal maniac, and his brain broke. It big and it broke, and so now he will take it out on Invincible.
But that's so weird because like our brain is so big that like we're fine.
But you weren't connected to all the gross versions of you while they died.
You don't think that I am? I
hope
like
not.
I am.
But they're not dying? Are you going to try to kill me? Is that what you're saying?
No,
you're Angstrom and I'm Invincible?
I feel like that you're safe because of what a cool big brain I am.
Now I'm going to kill you before you can kill me.
Oh, shit. No, okay, hold on. I'm going to take my to-do list. I'm going to cross off not kill Mike, and then I'm going to circle kill Mike.
You could just cross off not. Ryan, what's your moment of the week?
My moment of the week is Mark comes home, sees a passed out mom on the table, and she says, "Oh, Mark, you're here." And then she takes 3 empty bottles of wine and puts them in the sink and says, Mark says, "I'm going to make dinner," and then pulls out 3 plates. Bitch, do you think making dinner, the first step of making dinner is pulling out 3 plates? There's so many steps to making dinner before you pull out 3 plates. Like, what are you
clearly not doing well, Ryan.
Like,
you pull out those 3 plates halfway through the chicken cooking.
Like, there's so many other things you have to do when you're making dinner before you pull out the plates, you fucking moron.
That's just the way you do it. That doesn't mean it's wrong.
What? How do you... Wait, you pull out 3 plates? The first thing you're doing when you make dinner is pull out 3 plates?
You could.
Okay.
Maybe she's I want to see all my tools before I start kind of person.
Do you... Okay. So
here's my 3 plates. Here's my spatula. Here's my
pizza.
tongs.
You're ordering pizza. That's what you're doing. And then you're pulling out 3 plates. That's not...
Then what are the tongs for?
Christ.
My moment of the week is the bully. He used to be very rude to Mark. Seems like he's going to bully him more. And then hugs him unwillingly and says, "I'm sorry your dad got exploded." which is a great sentence. I liked it. Invincible is on Fridays on Amazon. That is the pull list. We're going to take the quick breaks, and when we come back, it's time for Spider-Man, y'all. Welcome to S-Tasmania, bitch! A mini show within the show that covers the seminal and underrated cartoon of the mid-90s, Spider-Man, the animated series. We are talking about the alien costume, part 3! And when we start the episode, Eddie Brock is lifting. He's sweating. He's ranting. And he's remembering all of the wrongs Spider-Man has wronged against him.
Mike, I have to always go to you because you are our New York expert. And I don't even call him Eddie Brock. I call him Eddie Use Brock because he doesn't say you. He says use guys, use over there. How
He's from
many
Queens.
of these people did you meet, like, where he would just say, like, use sandwiches, you gets in my mouth? How many people talk like this?
Most. It's why I left. I was not a talented photographer or a scientist, but I just happened to be not a gym rat, so I got batted around the subway every time I had to get anywhere, Ryan. While they just screamed use at me.
You would get into the subway and people would just slap you around until you got off.
And I was like, I just want a meatball sandwich.
And when I say get off, I mean that you would
They're
get
gooning
gooned until you jizz.
Which is not how the proper goon happens. You're supposed to really hold off. Who knew? Who knew that would go throughout the whole show? We also learned that while he is lifting, does he even need to be lifting so hard? Because we are Venom. Bump, 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 bump. And now, from now on, we are Poison to Spider-Man, which is how they got their name.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you guys would jump in.
No.
How does Cassie make this look easy?
I mean, she doesn't. She just apologizes the entire time.
I'm so sorry.
No, he's lifting so much that, like, I kind of think that I should lift more if I'm going to become a villain.
Yeah.
Am I doing
yeah.
a bad job of becoming a villain?
Yeah. Villains are a little more svelte, a little more bulked.
You're calling me fat and weak?
Yeah. Those are the words. I couldn't remember. Thank you. Those are the words. We cut to the fullest of moons. And Peter says, the full moon is perfect for my date with Mary Jane. McKenna, what does that mean?
That means that Peter Parker cares more about like just what he can visually see than ever getting on. He never goes on dates with Mary Jane, but he's so fucking distracted by like a full moon. He never could like makes it to in the episodes I've seen. It's constantly missing, being late for, or in this one pulling her away from the actual date.
Well, a couple of things here. He says full moon.
Uh-huh.
And J. Jonah Jameson's son
Is back in the episode, baby.
Do you know full moon with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not yet.
No, okay, not yet.
The
Also,
show plays the long game.
He says blind date with Mary Jane.
Does
Did
he?
say blind date?
Yeah. He says blind date.
They've met and dated at this point, haven't
Yes.
they?
And she's like expecting him. When he
Right.
finally shows up, he's like, "Sorry, I'm late." And she's like, "Oh, I was just talking to a friend." Like she's expecting.
So the
Well-
show just does not know the definition of that term.
Or they're like, we don't know when this will come out. So it's just...
That's what I'm thinking. Is this out of order? Although this is Alien Costume Part 3. So they just don't know what that means.
Yeah. Every date could be a blind date.
Maybe that's
if you try
why
hard
he's
enough.
commenting on the fullness of the moon. Maybe it was supposed to be a blind date, as in like pitch black outside, not see each other. And
Right.
he was like, "Oh wait, now it's not going to be a real blind date because
look
moon
at
is
that
giving us
moon.
light."
Look at that moon. What is it called when you pre-ghost somebody? Like, it's not that you show up and don't talk to them again. It's you just keep not showing up. Is there a word for that? Dad?
Just Peter Parkering, I think.
Yeah, it's
Parkering?
just-
Yeah.
On part of step one of why he's going to miss this date is the Rhino is just hanging out on a rooftop.
Just
And-
a foot on the ledge, like
Just doing
looking out
nothing.
for Spider-Man. Just like hand on it above his eyes, just like where you
Tally
at,
ho!
Spidey?
And Spider-Man says, well, fuck that guy for not doing anything. I want to go fight him right now, even though I have things to do.
Now, Peter Parker could say, like, I've got a date with MJ. I'm just going to swing past the Rhino, just there, there in his costume, minding
Not
his own
hurting anybody.
business. Yeah, he's just standing there, right?
The Rhino says, you should have stayed in black because I'm going to dirty you up bad. That's pretty good for the Rhino.
I've said that sentence so many times.
Yeah. Anytime I put on a t-shirt that's not black, you say that to me for some reason. But then, as he's taking on the Rhino, the Shocker jumps out and shocks him from behind. Do either of you remember what Spidey says then?
1 for the pink and 2 for the stink.
No, this is a cartoon for children.
Right.
Rhino and Shocker, how'd they get together? Computer dating?
Yes, he
right.
does say that.
What? What was computer dating in the 95? What do we think that was like?
All I know is before the 80s, you could like send in videotapes of yourself.
I remember hearing about how you could like tape yourself on VHS and you would mail it in a manila envelope and hope that you would get sent something back.
Okay, new spin-off. Should we just find a bunch of those tapes and review them?
No, I think we should send some in and see if we get sent some back.
Ooh, what if we get a hot date from the 80s?
Let's pretend we're single and then see if we get tapes sent back.
Step 1, pretend we're single. Step 2, pretend we're in 1988. That's how we hook up.
But what I like about the scene is that oh, sorry, we're not there yet. Keep going.
No,
Mike.
please. Venom jumps in. There
Right,
you go.
okay.
Now go.
I like the fact that like Spider-Man can only do so much with these guys, right? Like he can only beat them to a standstill. But like Venom comes in and says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitches."
Yeah.
Like I don't fucking give a shit about you, and then absolutely destroys them. And that's something that Spider-Man can't do. So we're kicking Venom up a notch. We're saying, "Hey, Spider-Man, this like shit that you can't do, I'm going to absolutely myrtleize these guys." And now Venom is elevated a little bit.
And it helps that it happens, I guess, even though dramatic irony, we see it happen, but Peter doesn't. Peter can't take Rhino and Shocker on at once. He is covered in stuff, as he so often is. It's shrapnel and debris. Venom jumps in,
is there
myrtleizes
a little bit
them.
of building above me?
Yeah, that's his weakness. That's his kryptonite. And then Brock, for some reason, just for a millisecond of mind fucking him, I guess, is in street clothes. He's in a turtleneck, and he helps him out, and he goes, "Need a hand, pal?" Peter Parker, I know you're Peter Parker, also I'm Venom. Like, it's such a quick turnaround, like, because he's an idiot. Even though he wants to mentally fuck with him, he's too stupid. Venom then tells Peter, "Hey, yes, we're the symbiote. Yes, we're Eddie Brock. Also, we've been together. We've been a thing since the beginning of time." And then we get, I think,
some
a
of the
Neil
most
deGrasse
mind-blowing,
Tyson boner-inducing
James Cameron-esque
journey through space and time.
Guys, I went on a journey. I was doing ayahuasca at the time. Were you doing that?
Yes. No, I was on DMT.
I wrote in the notes, "Do ayahuasca while this one part happens." And
That's a
also
quick ayahuasca.
Put on Dark Side of the Moon.
Did they line up?
Yes, it absolutely lines up with this episode.
Just with this scene. Mm-hmm. This 30-second scene lines up with the entire 58-minute run of Dark Side of the Moon.
But yeah, we go through space and we see where fucking the symbiote happens.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, how much of Spider-Man's CGI have you seen so far? Is this your first entry point?
No. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. But
were you surprised? Were you amused? What did it?
Oh, absolutely
elate you?
amused. Absolutely entertained. Like, it just... There's an element of this show that the cheesier or cornier things get, the better it gets. But also, I'm always fascinated with the timing that they choose to, like, what they choose to focus on, and like give time for the show. Like, we're just talking about Brock does it, like the scenes of where he says, like, "I know you're Peter Parker." Like, things happen so fast, but then we spend so long on other things. And the pacing of everything is brilliant.
He just leaves because, again, he sort of wants to mentally fuck with Spider-Man. And so Peter is like, "Well, I'm going to research Eddie Brock." They don't really have the internet yet. So Robbie, with no explanation, just gives him a fat file all about Eddie Brock and where he might hang out and where he used to live. That's journalistically not right, correct?
Yeah, it's fine. It's on the underground, on the slip slide.
He's an
Hey, Mike,
ex-employee, so like...
I have a Venom question, Mike.
Okay, I have a Venom answer.
His webs come out of the white part of the top of his hand.
Yeah, the squares.
But are those webs? or are those symbiote?
Yeah, it's it won't turn into like Carnage or any of the other ones, but it is like a bit of his. I think he's gooning, honestly.
Okay, I know that you want to pretend like you're cool and say gooning a lot, but if Venom webbed forever, would he?
Will
lose-
Like, is
clothes
Venom
disappear?
Gone.
Is his venom gone? Like
I think he's constantly
it's
regenerating.
Not webbing,
Right.
It's not webbing like Spider-Man's web.
Correct. It comes from him.
But if it comes
But
from him, wouldn't it be like bonding with everything that it gets?
That's why
out?
it's a different category. It's like his spit.
So it's not him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not symbiote, but it's not
web.
Scientifically made web.
because it has to come from. I love how it's like the white, so it has to come from the white.
Yeah.
But
But then also there will be black pieces that just come out of his butt or his chest to pull him away from
Right.
things.
But those are black, so they have to come from the black.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Venom's colors are very segregated. While Peter is researching Brock, J. Jonah Jameson brings in his son, Colonel John, in a wheelchair, still in a hospital gown.
Yeah.
And John's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm still having dreams. And J. Jonah Jameson, he says it sweetly, but he's like, dreams will go away. You'll be fine. You're going to go to space again soon.
And J. Jonah Jameson Jr. says my favorite thing, which will never come to play, buddy. As long as you say a line like this, it'll never come to play. As long as I can shake the memories of the black ooze, I'll be fine. Buddy, oh, then you'll be fine forever. Like, when would that ever come to play?
Then Venom shows back up because he keeps just like running around a corner. This is all, I think, the same night, and he just disappears. Spider-Man has realized his spidey sense does not work on Venom. He captures Peter and in costume and then unmasks him. Right after he's like, hey, I'm going to go after your aunt and MJ, but first I'm going to unmask you. And throws his mask to the ground, and some random fucking chud does the meanest impression of Spider-Man. He's like, oh, I'm Spider-Man.
Look at me.
Crawls around with his butt in the air. And then JJ grabs a camera from the cameraman, says, we got to get this on camera. How do you use this thing?
Yeah.
Honestly,
guy.
I think this is the most important part of the episode, is that the higher-ups just don't know how to work the equipment, so he doesn't know how to put it in focus.
Right.
Like, he doesn't know how to trust his employees, so he grabs the equipment from the hands. He could have gotten the story if he trusted his employees,
Yes.
but he couldn't. And so he can't get the focus. Meanwhile, this other guy, this fucking orca next to him is like, oh, I can't, look at me, I'm Spider-Man. I think that's the story. You should be filming this guy.
What if that is Spider-Man?
What if it is?
Then they're at a theater. Oh, yeah, they're the date. I was like, why is there a theater? Peter's like, well, I'm still going to go on my date. I guess I'll protect Mary Jane. And Brock is just like Michael Myersing through the crowd. He's just kind of in the background. And then Mary's like, oh, your friend's here. And Peter's just like, he's a weirdo. We need to go now.
I'm sorry, Mike. Before that, Peter is walking through a theater crowd yelling, what?
What is he yelling?
He is looking for somebody, and he is screaming, what?
Mary Jane? MJ?
No. Screaming, Mary Jane. No, you're going to get arrested, buddy. In the 1970s, no, you are going to get...
This is the 90s, but that is Giuliani's New York, so not
Yes.
very friendly.
You're going to get beat by a cop, bud, just running through. Mary Jane! Has anybody Mary Jane? You're going to get beat.
Now, they get away on the subway, and a train chase happens. What happens to Mary Jane? What? Is she just chilling on the subway? What? It gets muddy here.
At one point in every episode, Spider-Man will be like, all right, Mary Jane, we don't need you anymore. And we'll just fucking huck her.
Just yeet into the sun.
Yeet her as hard as he can, and she will land perfectly in her bed and go to sleep immediately.
And go, what a weird date. I'll never bring this up with Peter again.
That was the
But I'll
craziest
continue to,
blind date.
just keep going out with him.
Now,
I can't wait for tomorrow's date.
Good thing we have
McKenna.
dinner tomorrow.
if a gentleman was dating you, pretend you're single again. You're a supermodel
Yes.
in New York, highly sought after in your career field. And the guy keeps your aunt and his aunt decided the two of you should date. He keeps, for a while, not showing up ever. And then when he does, he bails after 10 minutes, or a monster shows up and he runs and leaves you. Or he goes, I know we're at a party for your work, but we got to leave now because a guy I know is a weirdo. What would you do?
I was not a great dater. I was very bad at dating, but and possibly this way, I have ditched guys for far less, so it would be never heard from again. After just,
I think that makes you a good dater.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Give her one more detail. This guy wears the same sweater every date.
You've only ever seen him in
One
polo
outfit.
shirt that's striped.
Yeah, that's the first red flag. The second, like, she is a supermodel, but she seems to like not want or be, or like she keeps inviting him to these important events, knowing he's flaky, or forces her to leave like modeling shows, movie premiere things, like big events, galas and shit, and it's so, maybe New York's just not good for dating. Desperate times.
McKenna's starting to write her type 5 about dating in New York.
I understand that the premise is that they're romantic, and like the 90s did not write couples well, I don't think. So I think that's like the forgivable. Also, like the audience is not exactly going to be concerned. We're a bit older than the projected audience of this, but there were adult writers writing this, which is baffling.
You have to admit that the 90s did not write couples well, or women or men. I have one question about Eddie Brock in the audience. He knew about Aunt May and Mary Jane, and he was chasing Peter down. But how did he know about Tiger? He said, "I'm going to get you, Tiger." How did he know about that?
Did the symbiote, like while Spidey was sleeping, like just
the symbiote whispered
crawl
in his ear, call him
in
Tiger?
every nook and cranny of the brain and grab all of his memories?
I guess that's always the symbiote. Sorry.
Symbiote. I can't even remember the terrible way Jenny Slate said it. So we get a train chase, and then Spider-Man's like, wait, I got to take control, and there's your subtle launch. I'm going to launch this thing back to the moon.
Alice.
And then they fight under the rocket ship. How romantic. And the rumble of the rocket makes the alien suit fall off of Eddie, and Spider-Man like triple webs it to the rocket ship. And only when he takes the unconscious Eddie Brock into the elevator does anybody at NASA go, holy shit, there's people who shouldn't be here.
I would have done one more extra step. I know that Peter Parker's Peter Parker and a better person than me, but I would have, while the symbiote was on Eddie Brock, I would have webbed Eddie Brock with the symbiote onto the rocket ship and sent that into space. Am I a bad person? Maybe, but I would have sent all of that nightmare away into space.
There'd be no evidence. Nobody could pin it on you. Nobody knows Eddie is Venom. He knows all these things still. He will still call you Tiger.
When he earlier, when Eddie Brock's like, I fucking hate you, Peter, and like cuts a tree down and like sends it onto Peter, and Peter's like, this guy's gonna be out for me forever. And like you're just like, this is it, like this is my life until I fucking kill this guy. That's what I would have just like put him on a rocket ship and sent him into space. I wouldn't have sent that. Like I would not have cared about Eddie Brock anymore. I would have literally, I wouldn't have
never thought about him again.
Yeah, I wouldn't have saved Eddie Brock's life and sent the symbiote into space. I would have sent them both into fucking hell to die and burn.
I do like, as vindictive.
So Mac, when Mike gets sent to space,
I know why.
You know who did it? I do call Ryan Tiger a lot, and I did say I'll come after you forever, and often threaten his wife and his relatives.
Did you see? He almost said child.
Yeah.
Did you see? When he
No, that's never okay. That's never okay to threaten children. I should say that more like I believe, at least.
I should say that with more conviction.
That was the least sincere I've ever sounded. But yeah, Spider-Man does just leave Eddie in the elevator to get arrested, and then escapes
that
on
is
a
cool
Jeep.
too. Is that Spider-Man could have easily escaped with Brock in his
Yeah.
arms, but does not. He chooses not to.
Yeah, fuck that guy. And then he meets back up with MJ. They're looking at the moon because it's still full and beautiful. But then, breaking all logic and reason, Venom just shows up in the moon.
Yeah.
And then the episode ends.
Well, it's the whole episode. Spider-Man just sees Brock everywhere. That's not one of Venom's powers. It's
No.
just
He's
got
paranoid.
into Spider-Man's head so hard that he just sees him everywhere.
Which is the same thing that's happening to JJ's side, right? He's just seeing.
Right.
Yeah. It's the
And
ooze.
not that different than JJJ seeing Spider-Man everywhere. So now he understands what it's like to be J cubed.
Nobody wants that. Nobody deserves that. It's time for our Webbies. McKenna, what is your best web zinger?
Oh, it's when Venom. It's from Venom, and he says, "We're your biggest fan," as he pulls off a fan blade and chucks it at Spider-Man.
Nice. Ryan?
Yeah, Peter is not funny. It's from Venom. It's I'm your biggest fan, and throws a fucking fan blade right at him.
8 points for both of you. Next up, Ryan, Kung Fu Grip. What is yours?
One of my favorite things, this is from 80s action movies, is when you pull off a tube or a pipe of something and it shoots steam in your face and you just scream. It's from the fan scene, and Spider-Man pulls off a tube of something and it shoots it in Venom's face, and Venom just screams. And I just love that. Like, it hurts Venom so much for no reason. So that's
Steam
my
is hot.
Kung Fu Grip.
Steam power. Mac, what's yours?
I always enjoy it when they don't use their powers or take the easy way out, and mine is when Spider-Man's riding on top of the Jeep to escape NASA. Like, he could have webbed himself out of there long before they're getting into their Jeeps. Like, he had time to escape, but he's choosing to hide in the most obvious sight, and I love it.
There's a Jeep behind the Jeep that Spider-Man's
Can't
on.
see him.
And NASA is like, hey, everyone, watch out for Spider-Man.
They're all in towers, too, shining lights down, and he's just hiding on the
If you
Jeep.
see somebody dressed like Spider-Man, let us know. We're
That's
looking out
probably a
for
different guy.
Spider-Man.
I'm going to give it to the power Steam. That is 3 points. Next up is the most 90s moment. Mac.
I have to apologize. I don't remember if this is from this episode or the episode before, because I did watch them back to back. I got very excited and I just kept watching through. But I
love that.
hope it's
2 points for that.
I hope it's in this one, and it's the searching for through the yellow pages to find the gym rentals, and calling that number to figure out.
Oh, no, that is this one.
episode,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so that's searching
Atlas.
Is it the
And
Atlas?
then Venom. The Atlas ad becomes Venom because
Yes.
Venom is everywhere.
Yeah, but it's that old fashioned searching right there to figure out. And
Old fashioned. That's still how I find things.
there had to be multiple rentals, but that's the one, and he gets.
And
it
then
right
also
there.
just hey, Atlas, I'm
What's
Eddie
the
Brock.
address?
Can you
Yeah.
tell me what thing I ordered?
where I live.
Can you tell me where I live and my social security number?
Look, you guys don't remember that pre-9, everybody was so trusting. Ryan, what's your 90s moment?
Mike, you know it. You love it. What are you guys, computer dating?
What does that even mean to you, Spider-Man? Yes, 5 points to computer dating. New York is a character. I'm walking here, Ryan.
My computer dating, Mike, as it stands, is, of course, check it out, I'm Spider-Man. In any other city, Spider-Man mask flows to the ground. Any other city, they're like, I need to give this back to Spider-Man because I live in a polite city, and I'm going to give this back to him. But in New York, they put it on their head, and they're like, oh, I'm Spider-Man. I'm a fucking monkey. Not in New York. They're fucking animals.
Mac, what's yours?
I feel like it's a very New York thing to treat journalists as kind of people of real power, but also write articles about everything. So it's when Eddie Brock is being taunted by Spider-Man, and all of a sudden there's just plastered with the wall of how he got fired, as though 15 different newspapers picked this story up and just wrote about it. This one journalist photographer.
Yes.
God, I love Spider-Man has this huge. Spider-Man is a superhero with superpowers, and his whole plan to break Venom. It's just get out his scissors and paste. And
I'm going to collage.
Do some roid rage in his, host right there.
Put up a bunch of articles in his house.
7 points to McKenna. If my math calculates, that's 21 points to McKenna, 18 points to Ryan. McKenna, you win the Webbies. That is Spider-Man. Are we sad the alien costume saga is over?
What's my punishment?
What's your punishment?
Yeah.
I'm going to get all the papers to write articles about how you lost this. It's time to leave. McKenna, tell some folks about some lovely websites.
Oh, I'm going to really channel my inner Caitlin here.
Shit.
We've got popfilter.co is where you can go, and you can find all about this show and other shows. And
Stop rhyming.
If you want to support the show a bit more, you're going to want to use amazon.com/popfilter.
Flip it.
Popfilter/amazon.com.
Popfilter.co/Amazon.
Damn, so close. Put that as your browser. Don't buy things from regular old Amazon. Buy things from popfilter.co/Amazon. And some of that will find its way to this show.
Yeah, we don't know how it works, but it will.
It will, yeah. And
that's it.
That's it. I did it.
You did it. Nailed it. Ryan, Mac mentioned other shows. What does that even mean?
One more note from Spider-Man. Venom got kicked off the train, and he was like 10 feet back, and he has webs that reach forever, like he mentioned earlier.
But the truck was
so
cool.
But like he just was like, you know what? I want to drive a fucking semi-truck. There was no reason for that. Other shows, movie of the year. We're doing 1973. Last week we did The Exorcist for Halloween.
I think it was a couple weeks ago. What was the last movie we did?
What was the last movie we did?
Did it come out?
Did it come out?
Certainly not what we should talk about right now on air.
Other shows include
The Last Detail.
The Last Detail, of course, where me, Mike, and Greg, we took Mike to fucking Navy jail.
Yeah, it was a mean prank.
Mike stole a bunch of carrots the entire time. It was fucking weird. Movie of the year.
If you want more of that, movie of the year, wherever you get your podcast. We are at Your Pop Filter on Instagram, popfilter.bluesky.pop.filter.blue.sky, Blue Sky. And you can email us contact@popfilter.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I forgot
What?
one more thing to promote.
What's
I
that?
have a new pimple. It is above my right eyebrow.
Gross.
Yeah.
Stop that.
I will try.
Next week, we'll be talking about at least Ryan's review of the Marvels. We'll see if any of us get to watch it as well.
Wait, hold on.
And
Do you guys plan on watching it?
yeah, I do.
Mac?
No.
Yeah.
I'm already getting a sitter for one event this week. Like, I've maxed out having people
What is
watch
that?
my kid.
What are you getting a sitter for?
A wedding.
Let's
Just ditch the wedding. Go watch the Marvels.
Let's review the Marvels and
the wedding.
that Mac is going
Yes.
There we go.
I love that. But most of all, we'll be talking about Invincible 202. That is all the time we have for Ryan and Mac for Mac and Ryan for Mike Nuff said.